G'day guys, my name is Miles.
And my name is Fez.
And this is The Commodity, and today we're reacting to the border mistake that created a dispute territory. Territory. This video was requested to us by the fella down under. It's actually the fella down under is how he spelled it.
Ooh,
he could have put the fella down under, but he didn't. So, you aren't Australian, obviously.
Yep.
Kidding. Thank you so much for the suggestion, fella down under. We have never seen you in the Discord before, so we truly appreciate your contribution to the channel. Guys, if you would like to suggest a video and get a shout out like the fella down under, then click the link in the description down below. It'll take you over to our Discord, and you can throw the links to the videos you want us to check out in there. Now, this is a disputed territory in Australia, obviously, because the fella down under requested it, and also you saw the thumbnail. So with that being said, guys, before we hop into this video, if you would go ahead and give us a thumbs up, it truly helps us out in getting these videos out to more people. Also, if you would go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell notification icon, that way you guys can stay informed on our future videos. And you know, if you'd like to help support the channel even more and get an exclusive YouTube short shout out, click that join button down below. Okay, let's hop in.
Everyone has their hobby. Me, I like maps, and I especially like borders. The weirder, the better.
I like cooking
so
drugs.
when I discovered that my own state was home to a misplaced border and one that caused a decades-long dispute, I knew I had to go and find out more. Now, for most of my life, I definitely thought that this was a...
What's your biggest hobby?
I don't have any.
You cook.
I do enjoy cooking. It's also my last name.
You cook, you.
Straight line. But no, as you can see here on Google Maps, this beautiful straight border that connects South Australia with Queensland and New South Wales, suddenly as we hit the state of Victoria, jumps west, a distance of around 3.5 kilometres. So I wanted to find out, number one, how did this happen in the first place? Number two, what happened to all the residents and the towns in this disputed area? And number three, what the hell is going on with this river border? So here's the history.
It's like the nicest guy to cuss. What the hell?
Colonies. There was the convict colony of New South Wales, which would later split into New South Wales and Victoria, and the freely settled area of South Australia. And it was decided that the border separating SA and New South Wales would be set at 141 degrees. And so this could actually be used by farmers. The colonists needed to...
That says 141 degrees.
Work out exactly where the border was. They needed to find this border.
Fair enough.
And this had never been done before. In fact, this would be the first surveyed border in the country. And the man for the job was Irish-born Henry Wade, who was a trained surveyor with great facial hair, and his protege, Edward White. Now, he was an emerging surveyor. In fact, he got in trouble in his youth and was arrested for being drunk and vandalising a pedestrian bridge. Now, in their first attempt in 1847, they started at the coast, using pretty basic surveying equipment and making their way north. Now, across this whole way, they didn't have survey money.
Like,
why do you even have to do that?
Do you even have an idea of how long you would be walking? Because you don't have a legit idea of how big the continent is.
Like, do you really, at that point, do you truly have to survey?
If you want to mark your territory.
I mean, but
how do people up north know, like how do the people 2 hours
it's not
north
like they
know
fence
that
off the area?
Exactly.
Like, it's not going to change anything.
Right. Like, how do you prove that foot that you just surveyed is
I
your
promise
foot?
you, I wrote this number down. It means it's mine.
All right.
Markers, so we'd mark the boundary every so often with piles of rocks and burning the trees.
I could put that shit anywhere.
And this was extreme work in the hot outback sun. At one stage, his team almost died of thirst while he pushed north on a horse that itself died of dehydration.
Damn.
And White was in such a poor state that he drank the blood of his horse just to make it to the river.
Just quit surveying.
But by 1850, after multiple trips, they'd done it, completing the survey and defining the border from the coast to the River Murray. So while this was an incredible
Murray River. They make my favorite Tim Tams.
achievement, the line was drawn around 3.35 kilometres off in the north and 2.96 kilometres in the south, an area lost by South Australia to Victoria. Now, this mistake was discovered in 1868 when, using new telegraph technology, they could take accurate timing measurements. So we had a stalemate, with the governments aware of the issue but neither backing down. And they had to work together on a project, and this is where things get interesting.
No.
It gets more real and involved me taking a multi-hour road trip. So to understand this better, I decided to head into the heart of this territory.
Okay.
It's about 5.
So real quick, I get why you survey. Because I know that people will be like, you survey so they know where their property is, blah, 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 blah. Like, I get that. I get that whole concept. My point is, any of the other territories or states or whatever you want to call it, they're not doing it. So typically in the U.S., when you're doing that, it is to find out where your property ends and the next person's begin.
Mm-hmm.
But
if you're the first person surveying, don't you just have the entire country?
Well, I mean, you'd want the other locations to do the same thing. So you have and everybody would have to share the same like information.
Right.
So you yes, my property ends at 23 degrees north by blah, 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 south, east, west, whatever. So then they're like, if somebody has a dispute.
But how do you know your exact GPS coordinates at that point in time?
That's what you're doing. You're surveying to figure all that out. And okay, so when you survey, typically you have a specific point in an area, and then you go and survey from said point.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I'm sure he's just kind of like, we're going to map this shit out. I don't want to go to work in the morning. So what do? I don't know. Let's survey some shit. And they're like, dope. Let's do it.
5 hours from Melbourne to the border and the epicenter of this drama, an unused railway station. I'm at the historic railway station in Serviceton, a small town in the Australian state of Victoria.
Stoner's way of explaining
that
things.
I shouldn't be. This entire area only exists in this state due to a surveying error made over 100 years ago. In the late 1800s, as South Australia and Victoria grew in size, there was a need to connect these colonies, and the solution was a railway line. They needed a place for customs to change railway gauges. So while this area was still in dispute, it was agreed that South Australia and Victoria would both pay for this station. I met with Les, a Serviceton resident and custodian, who told me more about the story, and he showed me this incredible historic site, the kitchens, the waiting rooms, customs, and even the holding cells.
That's really cool.
These days there's not much in Serviceton. It was population 120 at the last census, there's a camping area, and a general store that doubles as the post office. And just to explain the rivalry at the time, the story goes that the SA Premier thought that the station and town should be named after him and wrote to the Victorian Premier suggesting that. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. The name? Serviceton. The Victorian Premier's name at the time? James Service. So while I was in town,
you know what's kind of cool? I was just thinking about it. So they actually put a slang term on their post office. Post.
Mm-hmm.
Like we don't even do the only word that we use as slang that I can think of is the mail. It's like putting the mail on the top of a building. Because if I tell you, hey, I'm going to go check the mail, it's the USPS, United States Postal Service.
But you're receiving mail.
Well, that's what a post is.
Via United States Postal Service.
Yeah, but we don't have a slang term for the postal service.
It's called Australia Post.
But I'm sure that still do y'all not call it the post office?
Like the name of it is Australia Post.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes more sense. I'm dumb. Sorry. I just thought it was interesting because it sounds more like they put a slang term.
Right.
Because I would assume that technically it's called the post office.
Right.
Ours is the United States Postal Service, technically.
Right. But we also say
border,
the post
as well
office.
as where things could have been. So I've taken the back road of Serviceton
but we never call
GPS
it post
to try to find exactly where the border would have been. And this is a line of 141 degrees. So while this station did an important job, it didn't resolve the issue at all. So what do you do if neither state is willing to concede?
Why'd you cover up that towards
South
me?
Australia prepared an invasion. The SA government announced that they would be sending in surveyors to subdivide the land. Victoria responded by saying they would be treated as trespassers and arrested. The SA government thought this wasn't a great idea and they backed down on the plan. Instead, this would be fought in the High Court of Australia, which was made up of the first Prime Minister of Australia, 2 beards and 2 moustaches. And
2 beards and 2
Victoria,
moustaches.
saying that the people did the best they could with the best technology of the time and in good faith, and you couldn't update a border every time the technology improved. One moustache dissented, saying that the Act said that the border was at 141 degrees and no one else could change that. The case was then appealed and sent to the Privy Council in the UK, who made the final ruling, agreeing with the High Court of Australia and giving the land to Victoria. So on the 28th of January 1914,
Victoria was victorious.
after 64 years of
We had to
doubt,
pause for
the
that.
issue was finally resolved. Except for that whole river border thing. I'll get to that.
I think this could have been
I'm
a historical
kidding.
oddity where after 1901, when the country federated, the idea of state borders pretty much went away. Now that was until 2020, when due to the coronavirus...
He looks like he's trying to see
borders
through the
became
camera.
a hard border. And this really impacted the people living in Serviceton and the surrounding area. They needed to do things like go through military and police checkpoints, undertake regular coronavirus tests, and get permits for travel.
It's been a struggle to try and get across to go and help and do the things that you need to do as a carer.
This is a temporary place where the guards were set up, the police and the defence force.
It's just funny because they always interview with them facing the sun. So they're like, yeah, it's so great. Or in her situation, it's terrible.
They were doing the stops for the coronavirus checks. So this was again one of the back roads. The main highway was that way. But yeah, everyone had to get stopped and checked into the computers on the way through.
Feels like
I'm
that's already
originally
been
from South Australia,
years
but
ago,
now
doesn't
live
it?
in Victoria, so I don't really have a dog in this fight, or maybe I've got 2 dogs.
To be fair, this video was posted last year.
No,
and
but I'm saying it's like it's crazy to think it's already because
the United States has been deemed as out of a pandemic.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. But it feels like it's been a long time since everybody was wearing masks and doing all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Just crazy.
But West End Brewery does. They're a proudly South Australian beer, and they ran a campaign all about reclaiming this territory for SA.
The big balls.
This is a great commercial.
Yeah, it is. Where's those balls at? There you go.
Then they left, I guess, 4 or 5 cartons of West End Beyond. We don't drink it, so we used to give it away as prizes.
But I'm not sure it worked. All the people I spoke to in Serviceton were pretty happy being Victorian.
And now for that river border. So here's a simplified, very much not to scale, map showing how the state borders connect. We have New South Wales, South Australia and Victoria, and 11 kilometres of the Murray River. Now, most river borders in the world are defined to be in the centre of the river. But
Right.
since the Victorian Constitution Act of 1855, it was agreed that the entire...
So I'm going to just say, so I feel like I know what it's going to happen because it happened in Tennessee and Kentucky.
It already shows what happened. The river is not split for the countries or for the states. Victoria is up to here. South Australia comes all the way around.
Oh, okay.
And New South Wales has this.
Because like here in the States, so in Tennessee and Kentucky, it was, the border was, I want to say like the Mississippi River, the Ohio River, I think. And well, the Ohio River has changed, has shifted. So now, that was my birthday, July 16th. Sorry. But that's my birthday, July 16th, but not 1855, which is really cool. The other thing...
Finish your story?
All right, anyway, so the border has shifted between states east and west. So like if it's west of Tennessee, it'd be Arkansas, and then Kentucky would be Missouri? No, I don't even know. Can't even do it off the top of my head. I know north of it's Illinois, but I don't remember. But anyways, so now their borders are shifted. So some of the property of Kentucky is actually in Illinois because the river has shifted. So now if you want to get to parts of Kentucky, you have to go through the river. You have to go around the river.
You can't just go over it?
No, you have to go around it. No, but anyways, sorry, one more cool thing. July 16th, I forget what year, 1942, 1943, something like that, was the year that they actually tested the Manhattan Project, which is the first explosion of a nuclear bomb. So,
Well,
cool.
that's unfortunate.
No, I mean, it was a test. Nobody died.
But if the river was in New South Wales, with the border being the southern bank. So that defines this border. And thanks to the Privy Council and with the other border being predefined, we know these 2 points. But what
That is
happens
a
in
weird
between
concept.
just isn't clear. Now, one option would be that New South Wales, as they claim the Murray River, would have rights to all of this area. Now, another option is per normal border rules, where Victoria would claim this part. Now, making it interestingly the only part of the Murray River in the state. And this is what Google Maps goes with. Or maybe South Australia controls this whole River Murray area, and supposedly that's what happens on the ground. With
If it's on Google, then it's a fact.
So which of these is correct? Well, it's a legal grey zone, so it's
I
not
don't know what that
entirely
was.
clear.
It was like,
But if you do travel here, if you do get arrested on the river, do let me know which police officers arrested you.
Thanks for watching this story. It
Let's
was really
go
fun
test
to explore. Now,
That is really interesting.
It's like, who do you, like, when you murder somebody, which prison do you go to? Or is that like international law?
If you live
Or not
near,
international, what's maritime law?
if you live near this area, let us know your thoughts and conspiracies.
Of what?
Why?
What?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Why?
No, but truly, like,
Why?
what are your thoughts on this? If you live in the area,
Or do you even care?
small likelihood, but possible that you're one of the, what do you say, 150 people
Yeah.
in that specific town with the
Oh yeah, if
rail
you're in
station.
that town, let us know down in the comments. I will tag someone.
like tag you're it.
Yeah, gotcha. No, pin.
We'll pin your comment to the
We'll
top
pin ya.
because that actually would be really cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're tired. We apologize. But guys, if you're still watching this, type Tim Tam down in the comments section.
But
if
don't
you-
spell it correctly.
No, spell it correctly.
No, spell it backwards.
Matmit. Spell Matmit. All right, that's actually pretty funny. Matmit. I'm reading it upside down and backwards. That's
Matmit, that is actually easier to read backwards when it's upside down.
Yeah.
We're looking at my Murray River salted caramel Tim Tams.
Yeah, so anyways, down in the comments, type Matmit. Guys, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button. If you want to see our future videos, hit the subscribe button and the bell notification. And if you want to support us directly, hit that join button. And with that being said,
My name's Miles.
my name is Fez.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Peace.
Out.